Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you for coming to our second session. We had a great full room, lively bunch for our first. We look forward to presenting this information for you again. So a couple housekeeping things. Everybody should have gotten a little postcard size handout. What we're asking is that as we go along today, if there's anything that you want to learn more about, maybe something that you just learned about that you didn't know about, this is where we want you to give that feedback, because we see this as a kickoff to future sessions, not only for our aging population, but our community as a whole. So if anything comes up in mind, definitely write it here, and you can leave these in your place or just set them up here at the front on your way out. If you need any CEUs for today, there is CEUs available for education hours, for if you need it for work, for volunteering, foster care program, what have you. This is an option for you. You can just let me know. You can let Leslie know. She's sitting in the back there, lovely lady with the black sweater. Also, what's not over here is we do have medication disposal bags available. So at the end, if you want any of these, we're giving up to 2 per person. They take 45 pills, 6 ounces of liquid, or 6 patches. So you just open it, put your pills in, put water in, close it, shake it up, throw it in the garbage. So these are available for you. A lot of other information available for you pertaining to what we have here today. So with that, I'm going to, I should probably say, I'm Melissa Moore. I work at the health department as the public health coordinator there, and I help do some of our community outreach. And we have other colleagues here from other agencies as well. So if questions come up, then we can always softball it off to other folks here. But we've got 3 great experts up here. We've got the 2 Jens and the Jess. Is Jessica, is Jess okay?
Jess is fine.
If I'm Melissa, you call me Miss, I'm like, nope. But yes, I'm gonna turn over these guys. As we go, if you have any questions, you surely can answer or ask them. It took us about an hour, the first session, so there'll be opportunities for questions as well, but turn it over to you.
All right. I'm Jessica Campbell with the ADRC of the Northwoods. Welcome to our kickoff today of our Getting to Know Your Community Healthy Aging, Supporting Healthy Aging session. It is Older Americans Month this month, and it is Aging Unbound. And the reason they chose that for this year is because our aging population is aging unlike any other generation before them. This aging population is breaking and rejecting stereotypes, and they're living longer and healthier lives than generations past. It is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And that also ties into our presentation today, because even for an individual that hasn't faced mental health challenges in the past, as we age, we face challenges with our health or health challenges of loved ones, and we lose loved ones, which can bring on mental health challenges as we get older. Our goal today is to provide education about the resources within the community. We want those that are aging, that are caring for anyone that's aging, or that are planning on aging themselves. So hopefully that's everybody, to gather some information today about the resources that are available, and learning that accessing them sooner rather than later will help maintain your independence and ability to stay in your home longer. Your attendance, interaction, and feedback today will help us gear future sessions so that we are talking about and presenting on things that you want to hear about and that are important to you. And also, then we might even find some deficits within the community that we can help build up some supports that are also needed. A recent article published by the Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging talked about what healthy aging means. Research findings talked specifically about the 8 dimensions of wellness that most greatly impact wellness as we age. Maybe if I scoot up a little bit and nice partition here.
And just so you guys know, we are recording, so if anybody has a cell phone or any noise, we just ask if we can like kind of try to keep it to a minimum, just because of, if we don't want it to disturb folks that are watching the recording.
So the first is physical health. So our body's doing what we want our bodies to do and performing at peak performance. That means having good movement, good nutrition, being free from injury and having just overall good health, being free from those pesky medications that we all love taking, having a good sleep pattern. The next is intellectual health. Keeping our minds active and keep maintaining the ability to learn new skills. Maintaining that ability to use our cognitive abilities and those skills that we've used over the years. Financial health, having the ability to maintain our housing, our utilities, our food, being able to support ourselves and our loved ones, having the finances to do the things that we want to do, but also not facing financial challenges. Social health, being connected to others, maintaining important relationships, and having a strong and supportive social network. Emotional health, maintaining the ability to talk to others about our feelings. Coping with challenges and changes that we face during our lives and days, and maintaining the ability to maintain a positive attitude. Environmental health, staying in our homes, being where we're comfortable, having surroundings that are tranquil to us, maybe promote exercise like walking or biking, maybe having a garden so that we are able to grow and eat our own fresh vegetables, or having a flower garden, things that give us something to do. Occupational health, because we all want to keep working well into our later years.
That was a joke.
Or maybe we just want to volunteer. Whatever it is, it might be babysitting the grandkids or great grandkids, just doing something that's impactful, maybe for your family, maybe for your community. And then finally, spiritual health. Living a life that has meaning and purpose, that allows you to maintain your personal values and goals. That might mean going to church or some organized place of religion, but it might also just mean getting out and connecting spiritually in your own way. As baby boomers continue to reach retirement age, the population of those 60 and over continues to grow within the state and Taylor County alike. It was projected that Taylor County would see a population over the age of 60 of 21 to 30% in the year 2020. And that by the year 2025, that'll increase to 31 to 40% of the population. So keeping that in mind, as we do this presentation, we really want to look at the supports that are currently available, but also the increased need that's going to be presented to those supports now and in the coming years, and how we need to gear those supports to sustain the changes that are coming. The other thing to take into consideration is that there are a lot of supports available within the county. They aren't necessarily always accessed. Sometimes that's because of not knowing about the supports available. Sometimes that's because individuals as they age are fearful of accessing those supports, maybe because they feel that if they're truthful about their loss of independence and the deficits that they're seeing in their ability, is that somebody's going to say, you can't live at home anymore. Part of the goal today is to help the community know and realize that the supports out there to keep people within their home, to help keep them independent, so that you're able to stay living where you want to live as long as it's possible. The supports that are available are there to keep you healthy and safe in the environment that you want to live in. Okay, so the ADRC of the Northwoods serves Taylor and Forest County. Every county and tribe has an ADRC, and the specialists that work at the ADRCs serve the individuals that live within those counties. We have various roles in each ADRC that provide support to individuals living within the county. Those are ADRC specialists or INA specialists, dementia care specialists, sorry.
Don't forget that.
And then the benefit specialists. ADRC specialists, or the ADRC is a single access point for information and resources for what's available within the county. The supports that are available are free and confidential to those that are wanting to access them. ADRC specialists provide information and resources to those that call in and request supports. We can come out to the home to go through what's available as well. We will take some demographic information on the caller, so be prepared to give a little bit of information. But then we're going to discuss what your hardship is, what you're struggling with, to find out what potential supports are needed. That may mean talking about adaptive equipment that could make tasks easier within the home, or supportive home care agencies that could come in and help do tasks for you so that you can be safer within your home by not having to complete certain tasks. It could also mean talking about financial supports that might be out there to look at home modifications if you've had a change in mobility abilities and need some changes made to your home altogether. We can also talk about meals and housing options, just various things. We do try to keep our resources up to date so that we're providing you the resources that are current. And if we don't know what's out there, then we will let you know and do some research for you so that we can try to find something that can accommodate you. When that's not an option, or a person is not able to pay out of pocket for the supports that are needed, then we might talk about other publicly funded long-term care programs. We are the access point to enrolling in the public funded long-term care programs. The criteria for qualifying for those are to be 18 or older, to be elderly, disabled, or blind, to have income or assets that follow the criteria set by the state, to meet functional criteria for eligibility, to be a citizen or qualifying immigrant and resident of the state of Wisconsin. We can assist you with the Medicaid application if you would choose to. That Medicaid application is what determines if you meet the financial and asset criteria. And then we complete the functional screen with you that determines if you meet the functional criteria. Once both of those are met, then we go through enrollment paperwork with you, where you would be able to choose an IRIS or family care program. And then that program would be able to fund the support needs that you weren't able to pay for yourself. Any questions about that? So we also have a dementia care specialist. She's here today, Debbie Wendorf. Her mission is to educate individuals with dementia or their family or loved ones about the changes that are occurring so that the person with dementia maintains the highest quality of life possible. Her goal is to educate community caregivers on the changes their loved one is experiencing so that their loved one is able to receive individualized care based on what their needs are and their specific changes. She'll also be reaching out to businesses and educating business owners to help them create dementia-friendly businesses, as well as reaching out to emergency service providers to educate so that they can provide dementia-friendly supports as well. Oh, one more bullet. Yes.
What are the dementia cafes?
The dementia cafes, I can answer that one. It's actually where the person living with dementia and their caregiver come together in a support group. And we do some special things like maybe a craft, maybe we'll plant some flowers one day. Maybe we'll go out and just have a picnic. It's just an area where both of you can come together and spend time with other people that have the same difficulties. So we do have also the support group, which was the caregiver support group, which I like to keep as the caregiver support group, so they have time on their own to talk with other people. So there'll be two memory cafe and support group will be started in June in Medford area.
Yeah.
What's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? Is that similar?
No, totally different. So that's the number one question that I get. So if you think of it where it's an umbrella, you can see an umbrella and it says dementia across it. Okay, then under that umbrella of dementia, then you have Alzheimer's, you have Lewy body dementia, you have vascular dementia, 100+ different types of dementias. So that is why we like to get diagnosis from the doctor when he says you have dementia. Make sure that you guys are asking, okay, what kind is it? So that is much easier to educate towards, because different dementias, you know, they'll affect different parts of the brain and make you do different things. So make sure you always get diagnosis. Okay, that good? Any more questions?
All right. All right, and then finally, we also have benefit specialists. And between the between the ADRC and the Commission on Aging, we have two benefit specialists. The ADRC has the disability benefit specialist that helps individuals age 18 to 59. And the Commission on Aging has the elder benefit specialist that helps individuals age 60 and over. The benefit specialists are able to help individuals apply for and answer questions about programs such as food share, Medicaid, Medicare, including their Medicare Part D, which is their prescription drug plan, some private insurance questions, as well as things such as housing, utilities, and other general advocacy. Any other questions about the ADRC? All right.
Is that ADRC, is that like one office that's taking Taylor County and Forest County? Is that what? Is that
So we have two separate offices. We have an office here in Taylor County, and then we have a separate office in Forest County. And the office here in Taylor County is actually housed within the Commission on Aging office. So we're together. Which Jen will talk a little bit more about as well. So I will pass that right along.
That was a really good transition. but-
It was
Yes,
a
that was-
perfect transition. So I'm Jen Virgits. I'm the director at the Commission on Aging. Shortly, I'll introduce my sidekick as we'll give you a little bit more information about her. But as Jessica said, May is Older Americans Month. And the theme this year is Aging Unbound. So I like to look at all of these pictures. What do you think when people say we're aging? What does a senior look like to you? What we do every day when we work with this population, we know that seniors are not a cookie cutter. Everybody is different, kind of like teachers in school. Every student is different. Their needs are different. And they bring forth different abilities and aspects of life. So that's one thing, like we talk about aging, is for you to get the education and the resources. So, or let us know how to help you the best, because it's different for each and every person. So at the Commission on Aging, we do share an office. The Commission on Aging and ADRC are two separate entities. However, we share a location. So we like to say, like, we're your one-stop shop if you have senior questions. If you say, you know, I think I might need some help in my home, who should I call? Call our office. We'll get you in connection to the right person. I have a question about Social Security. Who should I call? Call our office. We'll make sure you get the right person. So with that is our Elder Benefit Specialist. I'd like to introduce Gail Sauerman. She is part of the Commission on Aging Department. So as you're starting out as a senior, she can help you apply for Social Security. She has information about Medicare, Medicaid, food share. And then she has legal advocacy. So one thing that's nice with her position, she has a program attorney that can help her oversee some of the cases and situations that people may have. So she can confer with them and make sure that you are getting the right information and the legal aspect of it. So hopefully you get it resolved the right way the first time. So sometimes it can be a little lengthy process, but you know, that's why she has that backing with her. Nutrition. We have 7 nutrition sites throughout Taylor County. All the way from like Jump River to Goodrich, Stetsonville, and anywhere in between. You may think, well, I'm still able to cook, you know, do I need to go to a nutrition site? You know, some people view that too as that's their socialization. You know, they get to meet their friends. They, you know, can stay there, you know, like we hold education sessions at some of the sites, you know, it might be something to do and get out. Some of the sites play cards or bingo, and it's just keeping active and finding that community. Home delivered meals. Last year, we served over like 23,000 home delivered meals throughout Taylor County. You know, as far as for the participants, the people that receive the meals, very impactful, very, not only do they get a meal, they get somebody to check on them. You know, they know that somebody will be coming by around this time. You know, as a family member, if my parents or grandparents are getting that meal, I'll know that, hey, somebody checked on them today. I don't have to, I'll check in with them, this evening when I'm done with work. On the other side, as we have some volunteers that deliver meals to those participants. It's a wonderful volunteer opportunity, and you really make that connection with the individuals. They have a certain route. I know I filled in on a route for a while, and they really became your friends. You looked forward to seeing them every day and putting a smile on their face and just checking in. They're also the eyes and ears. So, like Jen, the other Jen, we'll talk a little bit later on about when do you be concerned about something? Well, these people see these individuals every day. So if you have concerns, they can bring them forward and we can help get the resources and things in place to help that individual. But again, the key thing is what we're trying to say today too, is as you're aging, all of the services and stuff we provide are trying to keep you as independent and in your home as long as possible. Transportation. We have a minibus service that can provide transportation to in the city of Medford, the nutrition site 5 days a week. On Tuesdays, the bus will run to the Gilman area and pick up people, bring them back into town. They have like 4 or 5 stops. They can do medical appointments. There's County Market, Walmart, Quick Trip, to kind of get your basic needs. And I think that cost is like $7 round trip. On Wednesdays, it goes to the Rib Lake Westboro area. So same thing, they can come into town, get those local resources. It's nice to focus. If we thought Medford was a rural area, Rib Lake, Gilman, Jump River is even more so than us. Within the last year, both Rib Lake and Gilman lost their grocery stores. So it puts them at even a higher risk because they don't have as many close resources as what we do. We have a volunteer driver program. So we have volunteers who can take people to mostly medical appointments, other special appointments. The participant could call our office and we could help arrange a ride. And that might be something as if you have an appointment in Wausau, or if somebody doesn't have a vehicle in Medford, just simply to the Medford Clinic. That person is charged 35 cents a mile. The volunteer driver gets reimbursed at the IRS rate. So just kind of a nice service to kind of keep everyone connected and make sure that those needs are met for the individual. Caregiver support. We do have a family caregiver support program. This specifically looks at the caregiver. So if I'm caring for my parent, I would be able to qualify for this program. It's looking at what type of resources, education that they're needed. And we also have some funding for some limited respite, which could include, maybe I want dad to have some help once a week with like showering. It could be grocery shopping, it could be meal preparation, it could be some housekeeping, anything like that really helps the caregiver. As we know, like caregiving is very physically, emotionally, and it can be financially draining on people that we want to support them and provide them resources.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does the hospital still have at the nursing home that like daycare for the day for people, or did they stop that? They used to have a daycare, like if someone, you were taking care of your elderly spouse and you had to go shopping or at an appointment or something, you could drop them off. That's okay. They don't do that, is that?
So the question is does the hospital still have like the daycare option, like for the day for appointments and stuff? And I know AJ's here. I
don't think so.
Okay, I don't think so, but there are options. And I don't want to speak out of term, but one resource I would look at is BRI. They do have, day services. They serve a variety of ages of people. Another option for that would be we kind of look at You know, how she said to the dementia, support groups where you kind of do things together. Well, we also have like the nutrition sites, you know, if somebody comes for, you know, a meal and maybe stays for bingo, that may also allow the caregiver to go to an appointment. It may allow them to get some grocery shopping done, and do some of that. So those are kind of the things, like, if we don't know the resource, we'll kind of try to do the, the background and try to help think of a variety of different things. Yep. Caregiver yoga is provided, that's an online service to any of our caregiver participants. Through our office, that's another thing that Gail does, is our care call. So the emergency response buttons that you can wear and call for help. We have two different options. One is landline base, and it plugs into your landline, and that will work like in the general area of your home. The other one is a cellular option that will work anywhere. So if you're in the grocery store, if you're out in the garage, you know, in the garden doing something, you can also push that button for help. How it works is it calls a 24-hour care center. They will try to get a hold of you. If they can't get a hold of you, then they call the first person on your emergency contact list, the second person, and so on until it eventually, if nobody answers, it would call EMS to have them come and check out on you. The only thing we kind of have people watch out for is the cellular option, just to make sure you have good coverage in your area. So that won't be, you know, that wouldn't be an issue. But if anyone's interested in those options, again, you can give our office a call. Health promotions. This is something we're able to kind of restart again since COVID. Last year, we were able to have 15 participants go through the Eat Smart Move More online course. And this year, our goal is to bring back the powerful tools for caregiving. That had been a successful education series that we'd had for many years, that we'd like to bring back. The other great thing that we do is we really like to collaborate with all of the other different organizations and people that support the aging and our mission within our community. And that could look like anything from, you know, we work with the health department. They have nurses that can come out and do nail care. Or you can go to their office and have that done. They do ear flushing. They provide educational sessions. It can be supporting the Alzheimer's support group. It can be holding education, things like this, having consumer protection come in. It's really just working together to make sure that seniors of any age get the resources that they need. One of the things that we're doing in that collaboration event and Older Americans Month is Tuesday, May 16th. We're having an open house at the multi-purpose building. I think it's from 10 to 2. Can't remember if I said that, but we'll all be there. Debbie will be there and be able to answer more specific questions about dementia. Gail will be there and be able to answer specific questions, Social Security, Medicare, you know, and again, because some of that is private, you know, she may request that you make an appointment so that you can do that confidentially, but at least kind of get in and know what our services are and kind of where to start. The key thing is, like what I think Jessica had said it a little bit earlier too, is we want people to start asking those questions, getting the information before it's too late. You know, don't wait to get a care call until, you know, somebody has fallen 4 times. You know, it's better to be proactive and, you know, maybe getting meals brought into the home sooner than later, if that's a concern about their nutrition. So one of the main things you'll hear a couple times today is staying active. You know what they say, you move it or lose it, or you're only as old as you feel. That's really true. Staying active is a key point of everyone's physical and mental health. We do have senior exercise up in the multi-purpose room Mondays and Thursdays from 11:15 to 11:45. And you might think, oh, that's only a half hour. Well, what can you do in a half hour? Well, guess what? It's better than nothing. It's a great group, and it's more than just exercise. You know, Steve does a great job, but it's about friendships, right? I'm looking at one of my participants, but, it's really about that socialization piece and being there. And, you know, it's kind of like that community. When it's someone's birthday, they all celebrate together, somebody bakes goods, and it's just, you know, it's their outing. The UW Extension offers Strong Bodies. That's a program that's, it can be done online. There's a site in Goodrich, Medford, Gilman, and Rib Lake. They also have the community gardens. I was talking to Michelle's here from the extension, on break, and I'm like, sometimes I feel like they're like an untapped resource, like people don't really know what they can all offer. You know, so it's maybe giving them a call and saying, hey, what do you have? What can I help with, or what can I learn about? We talk about volunteer opportunities. You know, we have many different opportunities in our office, but it's not just us. It's, you can volunteer at a church, at the school. I think Jen talks about that a little bit later too. It's just basically staying active and finding that self-worth. Information. How do you keep yourself connected? We do put out a monthly newsletter in our department. And I know there's other newsletters out there. Social media is a great piece. And I know, like, people say, well, you know, seniors don't use that. They do. You know, they're getting more tech savvy. So, you know, like a lot of us have Facebook pages that have, you know, we'll post upcoming events, educational series, and then just tips and tricks, and sometimes just fun things. If you leave with anything today, well, hopefully a lot of more knowledge, but this was also a collaborated piece that we put together, is the Taylor County Senior Resource Guide. This is also like a one-stop shopping area. So this is something that our resources use. Like if you're looking at, yeah, I might be time I might need somebody to come into my home and help me with some cleaning. It's going to have all of the lists of resources or areas that you could call. It might be, I'm looking for assisted living. It's going to list all of the assisted livings in our area. Care call options. We're not the only option out there. So all of the options are in this book. And it's basically just to keep you well informed. Anybody have any questions for me? Quiet group. We should like come up with a challenge here or something. Mark, your eyes are still open. All right, Mark, now I'm going to be watching you.
So my name is Jen. I am the Protective Services Coordinator at Taylor County Human Services. My last name, Jen Meyer, is my last name. Just before I get started, I wanted to let you know that I'm typically really soft spoken. So if you cannot hear me, please do let me know. If you cannot hear me, let me know. Okay. So I appreciate that. I also brought with me today a young lady by the name of Julie. Julie is my counterpart there in the back room. I brought her with because she actually knows all the answers. So whenever you guys have questions, make sure you ask Julie. Just kidding. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what she does in a hot second. But to tell you a little bit about what we do at Human Services, a lot of people don't really know what we do because most people think about Human Services, I guess back in the day, people who removed people's kiddos if they weren't taking care of them. But we have, within our Human Services building, we have so many services to offer. We have a large gamut of different things, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But so what I do as a Protective Services Coordinator, it involves basically adult protective services. So anything that we can do to keep people safe and in their homes, which means bringing in services or wrapping around them in some way to support them staying in their homes in the community as long as possible. So our goal is to never take somebody out of their home if we don't need to. So a little bit about what we do on the inside. Number one, the reason you probably don't know a lot about what we do is because it's absolutely confidential and very private. So anytime somebody receives services at our building, you wouldn't know unless you would sign a release of information. So a lot of what we do, and we saw a big uptick during and or after COVID. As you know, a lot of people stayed home and they isolated, and with that, we probably saw a lot more symptoms in regards to our mental health and our the way that we cognitively function in the community. So with my job really is that umbrella that covers both our mental health and the aging process or cognitive health. So in our human services, we have a outpatient mental health and or substance abuse clinic. So we offer mental health counseling and or like medication management should somebody want medications. We have a psychiatrist that comes in and a nurse practitioner. And they look both at like, so for example, when we think about COVID and the fact that we all lost a few people, and or the grief process as we age, we lose our friends, our loved ones. Sometimes, you know, by the time you get older, if you know somebody, you lose all your friends. And so that process gets really difficult. So we have a counselor on staff that meets with people that works through that process a little bit. And if you need more, we have more. Also with isolation, we did see a lot more increased in substance abuse. So instead of being able to go out and about and have some conversations with people at your local establishments, it was a lot easier to be at home and maybe have a few too many cocktails by yourself as you're watching TV and kind of being sad about that. So we have a substance abuse counselor on staff as well. That being said, sometimes the best laid plans, right? They don't, when the services, if we've missed our opportunity to gear up for those services, typically what happens is we'll get a call through our crisis services system. And so that services 24/7 for both adult protective services and crisis. So crisis is really more focused on mental health and substance abuse, whereas our adult protective services is anybody 60 and older who would have an emergent need for safety. We also in our building, we have long-term support services. So Jen talked a little bit before about different caregiver support group and services that they do. We have a specific pot of funding for anybody who provides cares for somebody that struggles with specifically an Alzheimer's diagnosis. So that funding provides like a respite support and or things for the caregiver specifically. So if the caregiver of somebody with Alzheimer's needs to go get their hair done, go grocery shopping, just needs a timeout, we would provide funding for someone to come in and be helpful if that was something that was helpful. The other thing that we do is we saw a significant uptick after COVID of elder abuse and neglect. So the word is investigations. We don't really like that word, investigations. It's really more about outreach and determining if we can be helpful. What that means is, so elder abuse is pretty specific information. So abuse looks like if somebody is hitting somebody physically, if they're abusing them emotionally, if they're just neglecting themselves. We have different pots of funding and or services that wrap around people to prevent a hospitalization or being institutionalized after that. So we also have, so if you or somebody that you know, because of an Alzheimer's diagnosis or because of the infirmities of aging, have lost the ability to make good decisions or make decisions, and you lose your capacity to do so, we have an ability to help you through that legal process of filing for like guardianship and or a protective service if that was needed. Tying it all together, we have a lifespan program called Comprehensive Community Services. That's a Medicaid eligible program
for anybody that has a mental health or substance abuse need. They can provide services in the community and or in your home that help you to deal with mental health, substance abuse, and or as we age, they would also be able to maintain those services well and throughout your lifespan. And some of the services are not your typical therapeutic rehabilitation type services. One of the really cool programs that they have is they have equine therapy. So if you were somebody who didn't really want to go talk to a counselor or do the medication thing, sometimes like a pet therapy and animal therapy, equine therapy is much more effective for somebody like you. So that's a little bit about what we do at our building and some of what I do. So tying it all together, bringing it back to my specific role, adult protective services. So we are the state mandated agency that responds to and or provides the outreach for anybody that you might know of, and or if it's you who somebody thinks is being abused or neglected, or maybe that also kind of looks like financial exploitation. So post-COVID, we saw a lot of a major uptick actually across the nation of individuals who are being financially exploited by scammers. So people that would just call. I think you probably hear a lot about that on the news. But more importantly, people that you know, people that family members would be exploiting other family members if they lost their job or their income, but they knew somebody who maintained their income because they had Social Security. And so typically what we would see is, hey, can I borrow your credit card? I just until like next month, or can you give me $20 just for this week? And then that cycle would repeat. And so then being taken advantage of financially was a huge concern that we saw in our agency. And so it's called an investigation, but really we work with you and or your family, and if needed, law enforcement to recoup that money. So what do we do? So if we get out, if Miss Julie over there who works in intake, if she gets a call into our agency and somebody is concerned about you being financially exploited, she's probably going to ask you a lot of questions. You absolutely have the right to remain anonymous. So you can tell her that. But she might still ask the questions in case you need a call back to say, gosh, you know, I called and reported on this situation. What's the outcome of that? And so certainly she might need your, at least your callback number so that we can let you know kind of if anything's been done. So that being said, if you make a call, we would probably go out, somebody like myself or one of my staff would go out to that person's house or outreach to them in whatever way was recommended, and just try to connect with them to see how it is that we could be helpful. And what services that we could wrap around them with. Typically what that's going to look like is we're going to connect a lot with the ADRC or the Commission on Aging. We'll also use our area resources to coordinate and collaborate and facilitate services around you, again, to make sure that you're safe and healthy. If for some reason somebody would report a concern of dementia or mental health, we have an ability to coordinate a diagnostic evaluation and or provide like follow-up and care after that. So we're never probably just going to outreach and then leave you to figure it out. It's really going to be working together for self-determination to find what works best for you, because this is your life. This is, I mean, we don't really want to be in your business any more than you want us in your business. So our goal is to just get you on your way and keep you safe and healthy. So one of the things that was asked previously is, how do I know if somebody is struggling? What do I do? How do I know that I need to be worried about somebody? You know your friends, you know your family, you know if something changes, right? If something just doesn't seem right. You might not know what it is, but if they're isolating because of whatever, that's a change typically. If suddenly their attitude is off or saddened, I mean, by all means, just watching the TV sometimes will change a person's demeanor, right? But if they're starting to struggle to sleep, if they're not eating, if they're not getting out and attending the usual stuff that they're typically do, then that's when we start to wonder, like, what's going on with that person, right? So those are signs of isolation. One of the things that we do is not only connect to other services, but we also connect you to people who will help you to figure out ways to start spending more time with your family and friends. Remind you to connect to your social and religious community, to start a new hobby. We have people that will come and play cards just for that socialization. What we realized post-COVID especially is that isolation component was probably first and foremost something that we really needed to pay attention to. Once we start to isolate not only our mental health, so that depression, that grief, that side of our brain, but also our cognitive ability to do function, our daily functions, right? To what day is it? Did I brush my teeth today? And once we start to let it go, if we stop using it, we lose it. So if you've ever been on vacation and forgot what day it is, that's kind of how that would start to look if you did it day after day, right? You'd start to lose your ability to do your day-to-day tasks. So by all means, I'm gonna re-say it. Jen said, and so did Jess, stay active. So that doesn't mean going out and running a marathon. What it means is keep doing things that keeps your brain and your body active so that you feel good, so that you are continuing to do the things that keep you healthy, not only your brain, but your body. If that could mean volunteering, that could mean, we talked a little bit earlier about reading at the school, or you could be a volunteer driver by all means. We need those desperately. So if you have free time, by all means, we can use that time. I talked a little bit earlier about how do you know if somebody's struggling? So what are the signs that we're looking for? So signs of abuse can be like physical, it can be either you're neglecting yourself, you're just not taking care of yourself. It could be that the person who's supposed to be taking care of you is not taking care of you. Especially it can be financial exploitation. So that would be a sign of abuse. And it can happen by anybody. So if it's a caretaker, it can be a spouse. COVID again showed us that people who spend way too much time together, the likelihood that maybe there's some domestic stuff happening, like getting on each other's nerves, by all means, that can absolutely happen. So one of the signs of abuse would be if you're showing up and you're confused and you're kind of hiding, like you're kind of suspicious. And so for example, if somebody is financially exploiting you and you go to the bank and they start asking you questions, the likelihood that you're gonna want to provide, hey, my grandson keeps asking me for this money. So that starts to prompt some of those questions, right? There's a lot of shame and a lot of stigma that comes with feeling like you can't protect yourself from being financially exploited. So keeping that in mind. So if people are confused too, if you're starting to lose track and you show up at the bank and you can't figure out what your account number is or your PIN number, those are some of the things that we start to look for and start to try to be more helpful of. Pardon me. So I talked a little bit before about the things that get reported to our office, whether it be mental health and or adult protective services. So how that comes to be is in our agency, somebody like Miss Julie would receive a phone call, or sometimes people just walk in because can be more confidential, feel more confidential for them. They come in, she asks them a few questions, writes down a few things, and then she would talk to somebody like me to say, Jen, what do you think? What can we do to be helpful? And again, it's typically that we're going to go out and meet with somebody and just say, hey, how's it going? How can we be helpful? How can we keep you safe? So again, those are the things that happen when the best laid plans don't work out, when we miss our opportunity with these ladies. Then somebody like me shows up at the door, and that's not that fun, but it's not really that bad, right? But there are some really good things that happen with aging. So
my goal, my job is not only to keep you safe, it's also to provide you a little bit of hope. So there's some good things that happen with aging. One of them is the fact that as we age, emotionally, we get a lot smarter. We get people, we connect to people. That's a true blessing, honestly. Our ability to let go of the negative stuff also increases. So that's the best thing, truly. So after 50, our ability to not care what other people think about how we dress or what we eat, we don't care. So that is something I'm looking forward to. And we don't hold on to what other people's opinions of us, we just let it go. The cool thing about it though, is you've spent some more time, so you get to have a lot more memories, and your ability to recall those memories increases. Unlike people under the age of 50 and 60, we don't have that ability. The other cool thing is your decision making about the way that you live your life increases. So it's the way that you spend your money, the way that you take care of your property, that all gets better with age. So that is a good thing to be thankful for sure. Does anybody have any questions? Did I miss anything? Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. That's your question.
Is the living will different than a power of attorney?
Yes. Definitely, yes. So a power of attorney, you have either a healthcare power of attorney or a financial power of attorney. Most people have chosen both. So your power of attorney is typically activated when two doctors say that you don't have the ability to make those decisions anymore. But getting that paperwork done ahead of time for either of those things is really important. Because once you lose the capacity to make that decision, then it happens for you. So if you choose those people ahead of time, then you know that the very best person is going to help you to make those decisions. A living will, on the other hand, is also probably done with a legal professional, but it really doesn't mean that you've lost the capacity to make decisions.
The only reason I asked is I got this thing in the mail a little while ago.
Sure.
And it says when it comes to healthcare decisions,
Yep, and a living
it
will.
says it on both ones, so it seems similar.
Very similar. One means that you can have the capacity to make decisions in both. One is in place so that when you lose the ability to make decisions, whereas your living will, let's say you came down with cancer, and you needed somebody to help you make decisions. It doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to make decisions anymore. It means that you've pre-decided, here's what I want to happen. I want to have life support. I want to have, I want to have a do not resuscitate. Whatever you want to happen in your health. Whereas this is you've lost the ability and now someone has to make those decisions for you to keep you alive or to not.
With an advanced directive, you have that in place. That's something that you guys decide who you want to speak for your healthcare needs. Should the time come when you can't speak for your healthcare needs, okay? So then you've said that you want your daughter or you want your spouse or whatever to speak for your healthcare needs, right? If you don't have that in place before the time comes when you no longer need it, they cannot make those decisions for you. And what happens is it has to go to the court system and they have to be deemed a guardian. And it takes a while for that to happen, a week or more, before they could be named your guardian and make decisions for you. So it's really important for you to have that done ahead of time, because when the time comes, then when you're not able, because two doctors said that you're no longer able to make decisions for yourself, then they just activate that advanced directive, okay? And then that person that you say you want to speak for your healthcare needs is the person that they would talk with, the doctors.
They would follow your order.
Would that
Yeah.
prevent things going into probate?
What's that?
Probate.
Would that prevent,
This says,
You know,
no,
you're-
that would have nothing to do with your financial end of it. That would be just for your health care.
what would prevent probate?
I don't think anything prevents probate. So after, typically when you're deceased,
If,
if
you have a will in place, though.
Yeah.
I'll call the lawyer. on
Yep.
that, Yeah.
It's one that you decide ahead of time where everything's going, everything is handled by an attorney. It's all said and done before you pass away, and then you can avoid
probate.
probate.
So definitely the
I'm
good,
not
good
gonna
topics.
mention names.
Good. It's good topics. So if you didn't fill out on your little cards, if there's stuff you want to know more about, like living wills, probate, right? Make sure you write that down on there. Because we're going to be looking at those to help plan future sessions. Question?
The directive, is that kept on file at the hospital, or where is that kept?
It depends. So both at the hospital, the banks typically will grab a copy. But it's important that you share, once you have them drafted, you need to share them.
With whomever,
Yes.
yep.
And whoever you've named in the document, that's a really important
I
piece to.
just had surgery not too long ago. Before I had surgery, I filled out an advance directive stating that should something happen to me, that my husband would be the one making decisions for me. If he was unable, then I need to let my daughter. If in the state of Wisconsin, a lot of people think that, oh, my husband will just make decisions for me if something happens. It's not legal in the state of Wisconsin unless you have an advance directive in place. And that's stated that you want your husband to make decisions for you. So, you know, a lot of people think, oh, my husband or my wife will just do it if something happens to me. You have to have it spelled out in writing in the state of Wisconsin.
Good question.
Really good question.
I said, those little cards are going to help us plan future events. So make sure you put some notes on those. You all have a copy of the top 30 tips from the Wisconsin Institute of Healthy Aging. Definitely keep those, share those. You know, I'm one that I'll cut them up and be like, I need to lift me up one day and just, you know, draw one out of there, whatever you want to do with it, that is yours. We do have, I'm not sure if we still have extra copies left. If we don't, we can definitely, you know, look to get you them as well. So y'all have those, you know, pick one here or there, you know, go through a whole 30 days or at the beginning of the month, folks. You got one for every day of the month. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Please, if you're a potato salad fan, I'll get you a bowl to go over the top of the bowl to take it with you. Because I hate to throw it in the trash and I don't want to end up taking it home. I've had enough. Help yourself to more handouts. Thank you for coming. Hopefully we'll see you at a future session. Thank you.
Thank you.